A Microsoft Xbox-dominated future is one for the gamers. That's the script I handed to my editor. One sentence followed by a long tail of asterisks. The rest is all footnotes unpacking and qualifying that sentence. How dominant are we talking? How long of a future? How gamers? Xbox's biggest problem is it wants to be the cool uncle while doing hard business. Showing up to the meeting room in a Triforce shirt and cargo shorts, Yu-Gi-Oh cards spilling out of the pockets. Everything is awesome, and the boys are gonna love this. No projections, no forecasts, let's just run it down every quarter, bro. Now, you can get pretty far on brute force and raw charisma alone, but that strategy lost its competitive edge as the years went by, especially once the Xbone generation came around. Games needed more time, more people, and more money. You couldn't just do it live anymore. Xbox needed to grow up, get their toe shoes off the table, and do all the boring adult stuff like budgeting, scheduling, and conceptualizing a game plan they could act on for the next couple of years in advance. Now that would be the adult thing to do. Instead of drawing up a long-term roadmap, Xbox, too rad for their own good, started swerving into the other lanes to try and throw Sony PlayStation and Nintendo off their game. In 2010, the Kinect came through. Now there's a piece of hardware, 4 years too late, to try and snag some of the casual accessory-loving audience that we had already grabbed in 2006. And people may forget that as much as Xbox likes to whine that Sony won't play with everyone else, it was Xbox in 2010 that tied Call of Duty DLC to an exclusivity deal, which kept the esports scene locked onto the 360. It was an odd time to make these decisions, seeing as we were late into the 7th generation of consoles. It's like deciding to tear down the walls and build a rec room 3 months before your lease is up. I don't think it was the wrong reaction to have after finally get one over on Sony in their PS3 era, but it felt like Microsoft Xbox thought they had a bigger lead than they actually did. Or had finally poke-evolved into business bro and were jumping the gun on the next race. Xbox One felt like the cool uncle got his business degree and haircut from the same barbershop, mind you, and now only wanted to talk to you about your 401k. They also didn't lay off the pot. They were trying to sell us on a gaming experience, the cloud, an all-in-one forever online box because they committed a quantitative fallacy and assumed based on user metrics that all players wanted were better graphics, a multiplayer space, and that nothing else was important. I implore you to go watch Don Matrick's Xbox One interview and just listen to that man talk. It sounded like juvenile dementia kicked in and he thought he was speaking to shareholders, trying to sell the future as real estate instead of at a gaming convention where people just wanted to know what kind of games would be on the new console, man, that's it. Sony couldn't have asked for better marketing than when Don said if you didn't want to opt into the Xbox One ecosystem, then stick to Xbox 360. How's about a PS4 instead, Don? What we ended up with is this reckless, immature business chasing trends and impulses, then trying to make a plan after the fact. Their 5-year plan is really 5 one-year plans stacked up inside of a trench coat. Alright, let's just buy everything that people think is cool. Maybe they'll make something good, and if not, then at least Sony can't have it. If I had a nickel for every time Microsoft got flagged down by the FTC for trying to form a monopoly in everything but name, I'd have 2 nickels. Acquisitions are already a pain because you always have to overpay the real value of the thing you're buying out. And now you're adding court costs and legal restrictions on top as well. Oh, we've had it wrong this whole time. They're not chasing infinite wealth. They're trying to outrun infinite debt. It's a completely different thing. But it's perceived as okay because it's not the player's problem. If you zoom out into the eyes of a casual hobbyist who treats themselves to at least 4 $60 games a year, and most if not all of them are the big annual releases, then Game Pass is too good to be true. If the big AAA don't float your boat, so long as you're playing about $205 worth of survival games, roguelikes, AA escapades, cozy life sims, city builders, or indie darlings, then VibeMath says you're practically stealing money from Microsoft Xbox. You're missing out if you don't. Shoo, you could sit on free-to-play titles for most of the year. Or, you can do something that's not gaming, that's always an option. Then get a discount code during the last 3 months of the year and play all the hot titles for less than $48. Remember though, all magic comes with a price and the cost will be paid, not by the players, but by the game developers and what's considered to be the AA scene. It's pretty clear that Xbox wants to populate their library with 2 kinds of games, high risk and high return on investment. Those would be games like Call of Duty, that cost a lot to make, but more than make up for themselves with yearly sales and microtransactions. Add games like FIFA, Madden, and Assassin's Creed to that list. The other kind of games are low risk and high return on investment. Those are your indie games, not because they're lesser games, but because they're made up by teams with fewer people and some of them get most of the work done on their own and just need Xbox to bring it to market, thus foregoing the brunt of development costs. Games like Palworld that become overnight sensations are the ideal. And if they flop, they don't incur nearly as much debt as AA games. Games like Redfall and Hi-Fi Rush almost can't win because they take so long to make, and I'd imagine there's a lot of experienced developers on the teams being paid senior salaries just to break even. What might keep a studio safe, like in the case of Ninja Theory, the Hellblade peoples, is their motion capture assets. They bring in money through more than just the games they develop. We've seen record layoffs and studio shutdowns this year and last, but the average player won't have noticed. To them, 2023 was firing off on all cylinders. Baldur's Gate 3, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Spider-Man 2, and 2024 is following it up with what seems to be an indie game boom. The game industry won't feel the change for a few years, and a part of me wonders if the audience will even care if it's been reduced to just AAA and indie games. It's kind of like how all the video streaming services like Netflix, Disney Plus, and Hulu are finally coming together to offer new packages that are exactly like the cable television we fled from decades ago, at a cheaper price than getting them individually, but this time the writers don't get their royalties. It's always for the good of the customers, too. All those acquisitions were for us, you see. Live service is for us, microtransactions are for us. This is the Microsoft mullet. Fun in the front for customers, and wretched business in the back for everyone that ain't a shareholder. That's the kind of behavior Phil Spencer was criticizing Microsoft for in the leaked emails. No long-term plan aside from short impulsive spending sprees. And I think I know where they're heading next. Don the tinfoil hat and tie with me. The new Steam Deck likes are catching on. As an owner of one, I couldn't be happier with the purchase. It's a handheld and a console that has access to my entire Steam library. The fumes make me feel fuzzy inside, and if I fidget with it a little, I can run Game Pass with it. I can also run PlayStation Network, but if you watched my last video, then you know I think they think they're too good to mingle with the common folk, and have already made their PlayStation Portal breakfast serving tray. Unofficially, the Steam Deck gives Xbox a handheld and Valve a streaming library. Let's be honest here, if there's a game I end up trying out on Xbox Game Pass and wanting to buy, then I will be getting it on Steam. It's an arrangement that benefits both parties, and reportedly Phil Spencer wants to take their relationship to the next level by integrating Steam alongside other third-party stores like EGS. Maybe Steam would even be so kind as to add an easier way to access Game Pass on newer models. That would basically give Xbox a whole new wing of indie games, alongside AAA titles, a streaming service, a console, and a handheld. While Sony's angling towards premium services, Microsoft Xbox is pushing for bang-for-buck services. But I don't think they're the target, because this move doesn't make me question PlayStation. It makes me wonder if Nintendo is doing enough to warrant buying the new Swatch just to play Mario and Zelda games. Phil Spencer did make an offhand remark that acquiring Nintendo would be a career moment for him. And if it happened, high acquisition costs leading to widespread shutdowns, and whoa, where did that come from? Really, we don't think that far ahead here at Microsoft Xbox. Let's just think of the fun times. That's all you want, Xbox, is to think of the fun times. Personally, I want Sony and Microsoft to be locked in a stalemate forever while mobile and PC gaming find better footing in the Royal Rumble. Sony's pretentious, but they have good reason for their massive ego. Xbox I find to be especially distasteful because of the whole for the gamers airs they put on. And I'm not ashamed to admit that it appeals to my hedonism. Give them all the studios, give them Nintendo, and then swallow Sony too. It'll be a most fortuitous 3 years of gaming for me, and then I'll be out before the consequences of butchering all the creative talent and having a gaming monopoly come knocking on my door. But I'm not that selfish, I'm actually more selfish. I want more than 3 great years of gaming. I want it to last my entire lifetime, and if I have to be the referee, then so be it. I'll throw flags on the play at Sony and Xbox and their fan bases. Have some sportsmanship. Anyone who cheers either of them on from the sidelines is cheering against their own interests. It's gross to see a branch of Arcane Studios get creatively squeezed by the C-suite, then shut down, and the reaction is, that's what you get for making bad games. As if they didn't give us Dishonored, Deathloop, and Prey. Tango gets shut down after releasing the highly acclaimed Hi-Fi Rush, and the response is, well, that's what you get for not making enough money. Grow up. They'll come for your games eventually. Because a gaming future dominated by Microsoft Xbox won't be for all gamers, nor will it be a particularly long future at that. Do we really need an entire video for Nintendo? It's pretty straightforward. All you gotta do is lose World War II. Then have William Edwards Deming come on over and help reconstruct your entire industry. Sets up his 14 points of quality control. And then Bob's your uncle if you're not on the verge of a global war. Store-bought is fine. The real key to success here, though, is you need the Western audience to then ignore Deming. In fact, do the exact opposite of Deming. Chasing churning numbers forever. You don't really have to do anything for this step. They kind of do it themselves. Step 2, almost lose the IP rights for Donkey Kong. This will create a lot of trauma, makes you very litigious in the upcoming years. Sure, that means sometimes you're hard to love, but they're not trying to make 100-year dynasties they wouldn't understand. Hold steady, hold fast, and sue anyone who likes your games a little too much. There you go, 2 videos for the price of 1.